Welcome to the final team selection video of this season. We are on Matchday 13 of UCL Fantasy. The Champions League final is approaching. It's on Saturday. And I'll briefly talk about how I did in Matchday 12 before talking about my transfer plans for Matchday 13 and how I'm going to line up with only one captaincy shot, obviously, because it is the final. So no more cases of being able to switch captains as we've done all season. We only have one shot. And speaking of the captaincy in terms of Matchday 12, it was pretty poor. I got both of them wrong pretty much, with Kevin De Bruyne and Benzema both blanking. But in the end, decent showing all round, 61 points, and I've actually gone up slightly in rank from around 3,000 to just into the top 3k, so 2,999. So hopefully I can maybe break into the top 2k or 1k, but it's going to be pretty difficult. But either way, I've had a pretty good season. I'm happy with it. 778 points overall, and yeah, obviously looking to get over 800 points for the first time, and yeah, end the season strongly. But yeah, the captaincy, as I said before, was disappointing. I probably should have gone with someone else, someone like a Riyad Mahrez, for example, Phil Foden. But in the end, yeah, I just had a good feeling about De Bruyne. Didn't happen. And with Real Madrid Chelsea, I'll be honest, I wasn't really confident in any player in terms of captaining them. And the ceiling was quite low for all of them. But yeah, in terms of the Real Madrid players, I have to say they were very disappointing in this match day. Casemiro blanked, Eder Militao and Benzema all with 3 points or below. The Manchester City players are the ones that came up clutch for me. You know, Foden 6 points, Mahrez 14, Stones with 6, Ederson with 6, and De Bruyne was the only one who blanked, and he was my captain. But Mahrez, I mean, what a performance against PSG with 2 goals. And yeah, he's definitely a great differential who's been doing so well in the Champions League knockout stages. He hasn't blanked, so he could be a fantastic shout for the final. I mean, well, to be fair, there was this game where he came on as a substitute against Borussia Mönchengladbach, but in every game that he has started in, he hasn't blanked in the Champions League knockout stages, and it could continue against Chelsea, and he's been one of the shining lights in Manchester City's season in the Champions League. Chelsea players as well, to be fair, they've done very well for me. Kante with 5 points, Rudiger with 6, Azpilicueta with 6. I'm a bit disappointed because I did get rid of Jorginho. He got 6 points in the end, so I lost that on 1 because Kante was a kind of like-for-like replacement. But in the end, yeah, I mean, the most disappointing of all was PSG. I mean, just look at them. 0 points for Mbappe, 2 for Marquinhos, and 2 for Neymar. Obviously, Mendy did get 7 points. He got the clean sheet, but I didn't want to risk subbing out Ederson when there was a chance of Madrid nicking a goal or two at Stamford Bridge. But yeah, PSG players so disappointing, especially Neymar, who throughout the whole knockout stages was pretty anonymous, missing so many chances. Obviously, he didn't feature against Barcelona. He could have probably gotten something there, but his finishing against Bayern Munich and his performance against City, just not good enough, really. But in the end, very happy with my team overall, and there's not much else that I would have done differently, obviously, apart from the captaincy, which is the main big thing. But moving on to my team for Matchday 13, this is how my team is looking at the moment, but I'll be talking about my transfer plans. So I've got a good midfield. I've got Mahrez, De Bruyne and Foden. I'd probably be tempted to captain De Bruyne. It'd be between him and Mahrez, I think, regardless of the transfers I make. I do have Stones, Ederson, Rudiger and Azpilicueta, but of course we have 5 free transfers to make, and yeah, they're all going to obviously be playing a part, and obviously as things stand, Kante would be getting subbed in, so let's say probably for Marquinhos or something like that, but yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. So overall, I've got 8 players, and I just need 3 more to fill out my starting 11, but I am probably going to be making all 5 transfers. I mean, you might as well, and have some cover on the bench. You don't want to leave yourself short just in case. You know how this season has been. But either way, what I would suggest is waiting for the Champions League final lineups 1 hour before the deadline, and then finalize the transfers, because there's no point kind of just making the transfers and changes blindly when you can literally just have an advantage by knowing who's going to start and then bring in players accordingly. But yeah, pretty happy with it overall. I'm going to be targeting City more than anything. I do think they're going to win the Champions League, and I've been saying it for quite a long time now, and finally it looks like it could be their year. But then again, you can't rule out Chelsea, and I'll be looking to add in another Chelsea player or two, but my main focus is going to be on Manchester City, and I would suggest the same for you lot. Whoever you back to win that Champions League final, try maybe to stack up a bit more on that team. But yeah, with Ederson and Mendy, in terms of the choice of who I'm going to play, I'm probably still going to go with Ederson. Mendy did sustain an injury against Aston Villa in the final game week of the season in the Premier League, but he's in training. Same with Kante, who was also a doubt. They're both in training. They're both going to be playing. But I still prefer Ederson. And yeah, even got assist potential and a good penalty shooter, just in case, a penalty comes up and he takes it. But that's not going to happen. But either way, I think I just back Manchester City a bit more for the clean sheet. And I'm just not going to overcomplicate it there. In terms of my defence, I'll probably start Rudiger and Azpilicueta. And I think Chelsea defence is pretty solid, so it's worth starting both of them. But I want to have even more City coverage in defence. And I do have Stones and Ederson, but I'll probably be looking to get in yet another defender or two from Manchester City. As for the midfield, I think Manchester City, once again, they're the standouts for the midfield, no doubt about it. Because with Chelsea, you have Ziyech, who's got a great record against Manchester City, but then again, is he going to start? You have Mason Mount, who's fairly consistent but doesn't really translate it to UCL Fantasy points. Then you have Pulisic, very in and out of the team. Havertz as well, he can be a bit inconsistent. So with Manchester City, you have Mahrez, De Bruyne, Foden, and even Gundogan. They're very, very consistent in terms of points. So I think they're some of the best assets you can own. Up front, though, I'll be honest, it's probably Werner who's the standout, because you look at Aguero, he's not really going to start, you'd imagine. Gabriel Jesus is probably not going to start. It'll be De Bruyne in a false nine position, you would assume, with a very similar lineup to what City played against PSG in the semi-finals. And then, yeah, you look at maybe Giroud as a kind of budget option to give you more money to invest in your midfield and your defence. That is something worth considering. But Werner is pretty much the kind of only one we can look to up front who's probably going to start. And he's actually done pretty well against City in terms of, how he stretches their defence with his pace. But I think I'm not going to really overcomplicate it too much. These are the transfers I am thinking of making. So Werner up front, as I said before, there's not really too much else there. Maybe I could get Aguero in instead of Giroud, and just in case, just a great farewell for him. But I don't see it. I just think that Manchester City are going to be playing with that false nine, and if anything, I think Werner's just the one I'd play up front, and I'd probably go with something like 5-4-1 or 4-5-1 in terms of my formation. The three midfielders, of course, I'm not going to make any changes there. I'm not going to get rid of them. Diaz and Walker are probably the ones who are coming in my defence, and I am considering playing five at the back, and if not, maybe I'll drop one of the Chelsea defenders and then just go all out on City, but it is obviously risky, and you never know, Chelsea could pull it off. I hope they don't, but you can't discount them. And although Kante has been very good this season and he can get a lot of ball recovery points, I'm just not too sure about starting him. But in terms of the final transfer I've got to make, because as you can see here, it says I've got one free transfer remaining. I only made 4 based on what you can see on screen. I got 10.3 million, but I'm not exactly sure where to spend it on. I could get Gundogan, who, to be fair, after a great season, he could wrap it up with a great finale, maybe a goal or something in the Champions League final. There is Jorginho, who is still a great option in terms of ball recoveries, and you can maybe get an assist or a penalty. But other than that, I look across the board. Bernardo Silva could be an interesting one, a decent differential to get me right into the top 2k or 1k. But then I look at the others, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount. Just not too sure about them. Sterling, I don't expect to start. Kovacic, to be fair, if he's actually starting, he could be someone worth looking at. He gets a lot of ball recovery points, just like Jorginho, so he could be a decent option. Pulisic, Ziyech, they're kind of explosive options potentially. But I'll be honest, with 10.3 million, yeah, I've pretty much got most of it covered. So the main ones I'm really looking at are Gundogan, Jorginho, and probably Bernardo Silva. But maybe I'll change my mind in terms of that final midfielder spot. But let me know, what do you think? Who is the best midfielder I should get in? And tell me what your team is looking like as well for the Champions League final. But I'd probably go with something like Ederson in goal, Walker, Diaz, Stones, and one of the Chelsea defenders in defence. If not, I'll go with both of them and have a back 5. Definitely that trio you see there from Manchester City, they're going to be starting. And I'll probably add in whoever my next midfielder is going to be, whether it's Gundogan, Jorginho, Bernardo Silva, Pulisic or something else. That would probably make up my midfield 4. And then Werner up front, I think that's what I'm going to go for. And I'll be honest, if I had the option to go without a striker, just like Manchester City do in real life, I probably would do it, because I'm not that confident of Werner scoring anyway, but it's just he's the most likely to start. And he could still do something with his pace against Manchester City, especially if they play a high line. But I would rather have 5 midfielders and 5 defenders and basically go with a 5-5-0. But you can't do that. You need at least one striker, and Werner will probably be that striker in my team. But let me know, what do you think of my team, as I said before. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. There'll be more UCL Fantasy videos next season. But this is the finale. This is it. There could be a deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline, obviously, if this video smashes more than 50 likes. So I'd greatly appreciate it. And yeah, good luck to everyone who's been playing UCL Fantasy all season. Hopefully you get the rank you want, you enjoy the football, and yeah, hopefully the best team wins on Saturday. But yeah, it should be a great game, and you never know. I mean, what could happen? I think Manchester City will win, but yeah, you can't discount Chelsea, and people did it before in 2012, and look what they did. But yeah, should be an interesting game. Good luck to everyone, and more Euro Fantasy football content is coming to the channel. Same with FPL next season, and also just general football videos that are coming to the channel. But I appreciate everyone who's watched the videos throughout the whole season. I really appreciate it, of course, and I'll see you next time.